Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts back once again, another reaction for you guys. It's Scooby-Doo Tuesday, guys. You know what that means. Of course, it means you're here continuing the journey of Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. This is Season 1, Episode 19, Nightfright. Like that title, Nightfright. So last week's episode was over the top at times. Pretty crazy, pretty bonkers. We had wizards fighting each other in Crystal Cove over this ring that opens up the Emerald Dragon or whatever to get to the Dragon Heart, this giant ruby or jewel or whatever. And it turns out the girl we see at the opening of the episode who sees the ring and says, "Can I look at it?" And the guy's like, "Well, I'm not really allowed to show customers or whatever." And it's like, then why is it in the display case? And then she takes it. It's like, oh, okay, so she took the ring, and she didn't know the value of it. Turns out, no, she knew exactly what this ring was, and she got all the rings, took the dragon's heart, and then basically betrayed Mystery Inc. because she actually shows up at Crystal Cove because she knows where to go, because she knew all along where this jewel was, this ancient thing or whatever. Like, I guess it was like told throughout time or whatever. And then, of course, the red wizard, who was the guy who Chen, who's I think that's his name, who was running the Chinese restaurant or whatever, running that restaurant, he has been the protector or whatever. And so when the white wizard, the evil guy voiced by George Takei, shows up, there's a giant wizard fight. And it was so over the top and crazy, and it's like, holy crap, okay, this is Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. Then, of course, like, how are they flying their powers? And they explain the flying, of course, with jetpack. But then they don't explain the power aspect of it. They're like, hey, don't worry about it. I am worrying about, like, what the fuck? Like, how they shoot lightning and shit and all these, like, powerful attacks? I don't know. No idea. But the show got over the top, and I feel bad for Shaggy because the girl, I forget her name, she was trying to, like, basically, like, lead on Shaggy in a sense and lead on Mystery Inc. or whatever, and he felt betrayed and everything. And Velma was actually defending him at the end. Velma's like, he's too good for you, to the girl when she was captured or whatever. And of course, Fred's booby trapping everything. He booby trapped the whole boat. He's booby trapped everybody's house. It's a whole thing. Of course, Fred has done that. Of course, he has. So let's get into the next episode, guys. I'm really curious to see what happens. I'm loving the show. It's over the top. It's crazy at times, but I love it so much. So here we go, guys. Episode 19, Nightfright. Let's go.
Darling, why did you go out there?
I was hoping
He's gonna turn.
Changing, becoming like.
Don't say that.
Promise me you'll bolt the door and never let me in.
No.
Promise me.
Can't let me in.
See?
That was a quick change. Let me in. What?
Hello.
Also, apologies for the lighting. The sun's coming back behind me over here. It's really infuriating.
You're watching one of my old pictures, me zombie.
What are you doing
Not a bad
here?
Performance by myself. You won.
Won what?
The Have Dinner with Vincent Van Gogh essay contest.
So that's you, the
Like
one.
having
Okay.
dinner with like Vincent Van Gogh. Time to go. Our chariot awaits. I've been cooking all day.
Nice house.
Special effects.
Oh. Okay. Wow. Okay. You guys got the money. It's not creepy at all. Oh.
Save? From what?
Stuff.
He's just.
Listen.
A few days ago, I got the distinct impression that I wasn't alone in this house. There are others here. Monsters I've portrayed in my movies
They're
have
coming to life.
come to life.
You didn't be.
They're here. Open a door and...
Oh, Jesus. I'm assuming this is like a play or something, or to mess with them because they won. Oh, yeah, I'm assuming this is all for them because they won the contest.
From the castle.
Isn't this scary?
Yeah. It's all for, yeah, exactly. Holy crap.
I am Nightfright.
Nightfright. Holy crap. So like a double vampire thing.
The others were fake. Actors.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
just having a bit of fun with you, but this one...
About to say the closet. I figured there's like a secret doorway or something.
It's a secret passage.
I like how it's just them. Invalid code.
That's
Oh,
impossible. The director...
director.
There are cameras all over the house. They're on my TV show.
So this monster Nightfright is not part of the script? Bending the bars.
We're trapped. No way out.
Call Mystery Incorporated.
Okay. I was about to say, are they actually going to show up, or is it just going to be Shaggy and Scooby? Oh, back to the bloody steak. Was this episode 3 we saw this last?
Waiting over 2 hours.
Hello?
Your table's ready.
Oh, and they're leaving.
Holy smokes. We'll be right there. The creature stopped attacking just before you came. It's hiding somewhere in the house. We've tried to find it with the cameras, but...
You sure there's no way we can get in there?
I wouldn't do that. All those cables, you could get electrocuted. What do you know? You're just a PA.
No, not. And also the PA's Nightfright, I can tell you right now.
It's back.
Of course it is, because the PA's not there anymore. I am Nightfright. Scream! Oh, what a dumbass. Of course. Yeah, keep saying your name, Nightfright. Holy crap, okay. He's moving fast. A giant room. Then again, he has a giant castle as a house, so...
What have I done to deserve this? I was just trying to make a comeback.
You are a big star. You must
Well, if
be
he's
asked
not
to be in movies
anymore,
all the
then...
time.
Nothing but bit parts and terrible pictures.
Scream, scream. Time for you to die.
Oh, yes.
That's
Nightfright.
the PA.
I remember that.
Time for you to die.
Nightfright's catchphrase. Yep, catchphrase.
Nightfright. Same name of the monster in the script. Look at this.
Nothing unusual about that. It's just trying to hit its mark for the camera.
We have to capture it.
That's what the hero in horror film says.
Well, yeah.
Right before the creature rips him to pieces.
It keeps telling us to scream. It wants us to
Scream.
be scared.
Yeah.
That's why you can't be. Confuse it.
Scream, scream. Time for you to die.
Don't mind us. We're just stretching our legs.
Don't mind us.
I am Nightfright.
Yes, so you said.
Yes. Anyways.
Oh, I'm going to have to charge you for that. What do you say we head back?
I am Nightfright.
It's not working.
Please, don't
Please.
interrupt. It is
Yeah,
rude.
I'm telling a story right now.
Went to his desk and demanded he read it right
I
then
love
and
it.
there.
Do you hear me?
Do me a favor. Stand right here, would you?
Oh. Nice.
I've never been more frightened in my life.
Really? You did a good job, though. It's PA. Cord. I know it. I knew it.
No, it's not. It's Argus Fentonpoof,
Oh.
the writer of Scream, Scream, Time for You to Die.
I was going to prove that Nightfright deserved his own horror movie.
Oh. Okay.
Before you started filming, I hid my Nightfright costume in a closet.
Not only is your reality show going to be a surefire hit, but I
Yeah.
found your pathetic tale of lost dreams inspiring. How about a TV show based around you kids' lives? You know,
Oh.
teenagers.
I mean,
Drive around in
sure,
a van, build
sure.
traps and solve mysteries. Spooky kids with a dog.
Nah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Bad idea.
So, this episode was fun. It's kind of crazy, and I kind of figured early on who ended up being Nightfright, which that was the title of the episode, and it's the name of the creature, a part of this film, or whatever. Kept saying the catchphrase over and over and over. Scream, scream, time for you to die, over and over and over. So I kind of figured early on it was the PA and everything, and I also kind of figured that Vincent Van Gogh was also, like, pretending to have monsters in the house to scare Shaggy and Scooby, and I was right about that as well. But overall, enjoyed the creepiness of like the the haunted house or whatever, and how they ultimately ended up catching Nightfright, the villain, the monster of the week, if you will, because it was very different than before in regards to them leading it to a trap. Like they essentially did lead Nightfright to a trap, but not in the way that they normally do in terms of running and panicking, but leading it to a destination. It was more of like, okay, Vincent, you're an actor. You have to pretend to not be scared. And Scooby and Shaggy go along, but you can't do anything either. And this, the back and forth. But we'll get to that. So, Scooby and Shaggy are watching a Vincent Van Gogh film where he turns into a zombie or whatever. And then he shows up at their house. And I'm like, is this actually him though? And it turns out months ago, they sent in some sort of like letter or whatever to have a dinner with Vincent Van Gogh, and only 2 people submitted letters. Them and somebody, some kid or whatever who's an Eskimo or something. No idea. But he chose them because when he's reading off the letter, and it's obvious that Shaggy wrote the letter, like, just kept popping up or whatever. He's like, words have never moved me, like, as much. It's like, okay, whatever. So, he has a hearse. He has his house, which is a gigantic, like, castle mansion thing. And he has special effects kind of built into where he has a lightning storm effect and constant rain going over his house because he needs it to sleep. Like, that's how weird this dude is. But before the monsters, the actors that showed up, or before, of course, before Nightfright, who ultimately ends up paying these actors to pretend to be scared by this new monster, before all that, I'm like, this kind of like reminds me a little bit of Dracula, where, you know, like the opening of the Dracula films, or I think the novel did the same thing as well. Like, I haven't actually read the novel, but the idea of like, it's Renfield, right? That's the character who shows up, and then there's Dracula, and they're by themselves in the house or whatever, this gigantic castle. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit. And I was also starting to wonder, are we going to see the rest? Are we going to see Velma, Fred, and Daphne in this episode, or is it just going to be just Shaggy and Scooby with Vincent Van Gogh? Turns out, no, they actually do show up kind of halfway through it, but it's mostly focused on them because they're the ones obsessed with Vincent Van Gogh. Even though they're scared and terrified all the damn time, they like watching these horror films that he's in, because we've seen them watching his horror films before in previous episodes. I think there's a couple of times they did, but I remember knowing, blah, can't even talk today. It's been Monday. It's Monday. That, and I don't record this ahead of time, but anyways, spoiler alert, in case you didn't know, I don't always record this on Tuesdays. I don't. So, we know that they watched his films, so it's not too out of the ordinary that they win some sort of contest or whatever. Once again, the lighting goes down again. I always notice the lighting, because I'm looking at my OBS here. So, back to the point. Then the monsters show up. And of course, there are monsters that are inspired from his films. And then here comes Nightfright. Scream! Scream! Time to die. Time for you to die. I think that was the actual naming of it. Once again, the lighting is starting to come back. So, and the last time I mention it. That'll be the last time I mention it. Sorry, guys. I just get distracted by it. It's not normally this bad. But anyways. So, Nightfright shows up. And then Vincent Van Gogh's like, no, this wasn't a part of the thing or whatever. And then they have the whole house locked down. Like, he plays like these, like the organ or whatever. Of course, an accordion organ. And it shuts down the house. And there's a reality show going on. I don't know how they didn't know this reality show going unless it hasn't aired yet. I'm guessing that's the explanation, because if they love Vincent Van Gogh, they wouldn't know that he has a reality show going on, or like a live TV show or something like that. So they must not have been aware of this, and it must be a new thing. But there's cameras all over, but they can't get in the house. And then, of course, the PA knows of, you know, well, you gotta be careful of those electrical lines or whatever, because, of course, Velma looked up, like, the schematics on the house being built. And, of course, I'm like, it's the PA, because they're treating the PA like crap. Go get donuts, get coffee or whatever. They're treating him like crap. He's the guy behind Nightfright. But I like how they also tie into why he's being Nightfright and scaring Vincent Van Gogh and being a part of the show and trying to be on camera. And at one point they show him moving so he can be in the shot to slam on the door, because he wants to get good footage of him being Nightfright. But the whole thing is, like, Vincent Van Gogh's, I guess, career has, like, slumped or whatever. And he's been offered a ton of scripts, and one of them is titled Scream, Scream, Time for You to Die. And then they kind of figure out, okay, there's something tying into this. That's the catchphrase that Nightfright says over and over. Because at a point, I'm like, why does he keep saying the same thing? Like, that's all he says. It's because he's trying to get that name of the film out there. And I guess Nightfright is the monster of the film. So he wants to keep saying it over and over and over. Kept disappearing. It's kind of obvious what's going on here in regards to who it is. And I was kind of right. And I was starting to think, like, who are they going to make it? Who are they going to end up revealing who is Nightfright? And then as soon as they introduce a PA, I'm like, okay, done. But the idea of, like, okay, so Vincent Van Gogh, Scooby Shag, go out there and pretend that you're not scared. And then Vincent Van Gogh, he was like, I thought I was good. I was so scared. I thought I was going to die. I didn't even tinkle or something. It's like, okay, didn't even know that information. But he goes out and he really plays it up. It's like, excuse me there. And then at some point, Nightfright jumps up. He's like, excuse me, can you not interrupt me while I'm telling a story? Because he's telling a story about how he turned down a Scream, Scream, Time for You to Die. And then apparently he rewrote the story, or rewrote his, like, character. I'm not really sure. But he was just going on and on. At one point, Nightfright's walking with them going, did you not hear me? I said Scream, Scream, Time for You, because they're not responding at all. And then, of course, Fred's trap is over the top. It's ridiculous. But they capture him. He's arrested. And it was so weird having the guy who I guess is like the owner or something. He's watching the show from his jacuzzi. He shows up with like a bathrobe and he's just like, this is going to be a hit. And then I like how the meta joke they do as well, where we have Scooby and the gang sitting there and like, there should be a show about you guys. A school, but I can't even talk. A school show. Like I said, I can't even speak. It's Monday. Apologies. Show about you guys. Drive around your van, solving mysteries, fighting monsters. It'd be a show. And then he gave off a name, which is like, no. And then like, nah. It's like, yeah, who would want to watch that? Meta joke. Like, who wouldn't want to watch a show about Scooby-Doo and the rest of you guys, the Mystery Incorporated? Who would want to watch you guys in a television show? Well, apparently a lot of people would. It's been going on for quite some time. A huge variety of iterations. Because I've actually looked this up a little bit ago when I was getting more into this show. How many different iterations of shows have there been about Scooby-Doo? There's been a lot. There's been a lot of Scooby-Doo shows. Of course, mostly before this one, and there's been some even after this one. It's kind of crazy how different iterations and how they try to go about approaching, like, still telling Scooby-Doo stories with either different characters or incorporating, like, celebrities or whatever, and even, of course, Scrappy-Doo in the mix and everything. So there's a lot of things like that. Here's Scrappy-Doo in the show. Anyways, Scrappy Dappy Doo. People are kind of mixed on him. I kind of mixed on him as well. But, so in terms of how they structured this episode, I like the fact that it was kind of throwback to like monster films or whatever. And then we have this one guy who really wants to tell a story that, of course, Vince Van Gogh didn't want to be in, or at least at the time. And the guy's like, yeah, I went bankrupt. But he still had money to pay the other actors. He had money to make the costume, pay the other actors to pretend to be knocked out because he shows up. So, I don't know, I guess like I guess he wasn't really bankrupt. But anyways, he's like, I had to take this job, blah, blah, blah. But I guess since he has a PA job, he's getting paid, so he does have the money. But when you say you're bankrupt, that means you have like no money. So he was like holding stacks of cash, paying off the other actors who were going to be pretending to be knocked out from him. So I don't know. No idea. But I enjoyed how they structured the episode, how it was their homage to like horror films, and Vince Van Gogh's this actor trying to rejuvenate his career. So there's like a lot of stuff going on within this episode, and so I appreciate it. Even though I guessed early on he was tricking Shaggy and Scooby, and then ultimately Nightfright, of course, gonna be the PA. I kind of figured that stuff early on, but at the same time I still enjoyed the episode, so I can't really fault it too much. So what do you guys think of the episode? I'm curious to know your thoughts. What are your personal opinions on the approach in terms of the classic horror films that they kind of played homage to in this, and the idea of having Vincent Van Gogh on the show? Like, I think it looks a nice dynamic. And I also noticed that Maurice LaMarche, who is a famous voice actor who's been around for a very long time, voiced Vincent Van Gogh, and I kind of heard his voice in Vincent Van Gogh throughout. It's kind of like the Brain, not really, because he voiced the Brain, Pinky and the Brain. So I kind of heard that voice a little bit, not exactly, but it's kind of there. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Good stuff. Can't complain. I do like the overarching stuff they've done in Scooby-Doo in regards to like the overarching mystery at Crystal Cove and everything. But I also like these stories as well, where it kind of switches it up. Like the whole wizard thing, the whole wizard fight and everything in the Dragon's Heart last episode didn't have an overarching connection to the overall arcing mystery of Crystal Cove. Same thing here, but it's still fun to kind of tell a really interesting story that's a little bit different. So we'll see what happens next. But yeah, Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated continues to be great, as expected. Hope you guys enjoyed the reaction. I'm curious to know your thoughts, guys, about this episode. Let me know in the comments below. Talk to you guys soon. Peace out.